Okay, here we go. I'm Bob Holman. It's been my pleasure to be the judge for the first ever haiku poetry contest in English, sponsored by the English Literature Student Association of the University of Tehran. And hello, guys. Hi, Farvar. Thank you for asking me. I am hoping that I'll get to meet you in person next year when you hold the first ever poetry slam in English, or it can be in Farsi and English, or we can pick whatever languages you want. I'm up for total polyglot poetry, so just let the English Literature Student Association get busy on that. This is being filmed by my assistant, Sam Ohana. Sam, why don't you flip the button around so you can say hello to everybody?
Hi, guys.
Okay, that was Sam. So let's just hop right in. I picked the six winners and a couple of honorable mentions, and I'm going to go from the honorable mentions on up. And first, let me say that the Higginson description of haiku that you are using as your Bible was something I was unfamiliar with before it was sent to me. And there's parts of it that I agree. You know, since the haiku is a Japanese form, the 575 character count has come over to English as syllables, equating a syllable that's part of a word with a character is crazy. You know, it just shows you how impossible translation is. On the other hand, 17 is a great number, and it gives you a real formal sense of the poem. And most of the poets I know, and particularly in the slam scene where you have competitive haiku, live haiku slam-offs, it's pretty much required that you have first syllable 5, second 7, third 5. None of the poems that came into me were that. Everybody believed, maybe one was. I know one of the winners was 585, so I'm giving away something. Somebody knows already. You probably know already. You've probably seen this long after the blue ribbons have been handed out. No drama here. Well, so, but that was a surprise to me. The content that Higginson talks about is really right on, and I found the content of your poems to reflect this sensibility of the Japanese haiku, and that was so, you know, that was fun. Some didn't. You didn't win the contest. Well, maybe if you really went the other way, which is the other thing, that you can always go the other way with it and not use any of those rules, or just use 575 and then not talk about the season it is, or, you know, it's possible that just a 575 form in English, which is such a medicinal form, you know, the bully capitalist language, that you can use a 575 acutely in English with content that has a political punch or some other kind of punch that's not Japanese at all, and in my mind, have a winning haiku in English, right? That's what we're talking about here. So with all that as the prelude, here's number 22, which is one of the honorable mentions, I believe. It's called Dust on Your Shoulders, which is not... what do you call it? It's the stuff that comes off of your head. Dandruff. Not dandruff. Dust on your shoulders in this case is mountains, fierce friends, I dare to climb you, dust on your shoulders. So the syllable counts 455, not that that matters. But, you know, I was thinking of this, that the title, rather than Dust on Your Shoulders, could have been Mountains, and then Fierce Friends could be the first line. and then you would be looking, so it wouldn't, so you'd have that, the whole poem then could be the the flowing out of the landscape painting from the image of a mountain. But I dare to climb you, fierce friends, dust on your shoulders. Well, the dust on your shoulders, it could be me up there, that I'm just nothing but dust on the mountain shoulders, or it could be snow that you're climbing to. It looks like dust from below. But I thought the imagery and the idea played together really well, and that's why it's one of the honorable mentions. So our next poem is Live or Live, Breath. Ikiru, Iki. Ikiru, Iki. Okay, so I like Japanese in here. It's novel to me, and of course this poem is in Japanese and English. Thank you, oh Persian Japanese speaker or Japanese Farsi speaker, whatever. But it also uses the two Japanese words in the poem, which I also was interested in. Katana, which is knife, and the sakuras, which is cherry blossom. It's a very, one of the most powerful and common images in haiku. So knife glaze, katana glaze, cross-shaped scar on chest, sakuras in Hiroshima, cherry blossoms in Hiroshima. I'm an activist with my poetry and like seeing how nature plays into history and politics. So that the knife and the scar can become the cherry blossoms in Hiroshima, to me, is a beautiful movement. It is live breath. So I think now we're into the the top six. So I have no idea whether any of these are duplicates for one person or not. But anyway, here's the way we go. The poem number 11 has no title, which didn't bother me because I thought that the simplicity of the poem and its humor didn't require a title. Ascension night rain, shifting to where the roof leaks. Ascension is such a great word. The rising up, and I have no idea exactly how it fits in with night rain, except that there you are in the house and the rain is above you. But there was something very mysterious and wonderful about that. And then it's so playful when that meditative thought of the rising rain shifts to the fact that the rain is coming in the house someplace, you got a leak and you're going to have to fix it. So that move from the poetic to the actual, I thought, was very much the kind of surprise of consciousness that is at the center of a good haiku. Late Night Gibberish is next. Number 5 going up. A meadow disguised as bed, a blanket made of silence, a boy wide-eyed stargazing. So just the imagination of a child here, which is that innocence is often found in the haiku. It's 7/6/7, so it kind of reverses. One thing that Higginson said was he really thinks the center line should be longer. I'm not, folks, you can play with it. The way that Allen Ginsberg wrote his haiku was to create one line of 17 syllables. So just one image that played itself continuously until you got to the end of 17. Boom. And that's called the American sentences, he called those, and another haiku form that you can use. So here we have the boy falling asleep, letting his poetic imagination mix with the dream. Um, a meadow disguised as a bed. The blanket is made of silence, so you're moving. You know, it doesn't bother me that the meadow is a noun, is an actual thing, and that silence is something that is not a concrete noun. Silence, but it's a boy, wide-eyed and stargazing from his bed to see this and late night gibberish. I like the word gibberish, even though it ain't gibberish. You know, it's actually very observed and well written. To me, maybe you think it's gibberish. Good for you. The lynch mob is nothing to dream of. Mob is usually singular. I think it's a great title. Again, here is a haiku that has politics in it. If you knew that, you would have written all these political poems. You don't need to. These are only a couple of examples of it. Only rain washed the blood of men whose hands were bound right across the street. You know, lynch mob in the U.S., of course, is going to call to mind, you know, the lynching of African Americans, of escaped slaves, and I don't know how lynch mob translates, but I would imagine something similar: a political underclass, you know, some powerless people being lynched in Iran. You'll have to educate me. It's an active poem and a political poem, and manages to get a lot of history into just 3 lines and place us there. This is not something that happened in the past. It's right across the street. And for us to be aware of the political situation going on around us. Nothing to dream of, a lynch mob. Okay, so these are the top 3 we're at now. Oh my goodness, look at this, another no title, which I was told you can take off points for that if you want. I didn't want. You know, maybe I should have said you have to come up with a title of this. But Winter Pond, even the sun, frozen. 6 words, 8 syllables, 332. Very short. No capitals. I really see this this poem. Winter Pond, even the sun. Winter Pond, even the sun. The sun is even with the pond. The sun is even the pond. It's both of those things. It's even, it's a reflection of the sun, or the pond is round and feels like the sun. How could that be? Because frozen. Even plus sun equals frozen. You know, the play with the words, the little, you know, internal rhyme, the double kind of rhyme, how pond, frozen pond, plays off each other on the diagonal. It just carries a lot of simplicity in its power, a lot of power in its simplicity. So this was the number 3 poem I picked, and it's a fascinating poem. Number 2 is a poem called Pills. Not a topic that you would think of to go with a haiku, and I kind of liked that. You know, like I say, in English, in the U.S. English, in the non-haiku, haiku writing English world. You see, there's a haiku world here that wants you to write as much like Japanese as you can, and I see that the essay that you studied is trying to do this. But for those of us who are not in that kind of formal, trying to really replicate the Japanese, you know, we go to Japan and we live there and write our haiku, you know, try Gary Snyder out, or Joanne Kiger, who just died a week ago. for people who are doing this, who are not haiku poets, because the haiku poetry world, I really don't know those poets, you know. But here's a poem that busts out of there with bitter taste lingers. The sounds are getting muffled now. I'm safe from their harm. Well, to me, this was a suicide note as a haiku, and I'd never seen that before. So for imagination alone, we get a prize here. I don't see the use of the, you know, bitter taste lingers, sounds are getting muffled now. That could even be brought down a little bit more. But if you did it, got rid of the, you'd have the 5-7-5 syllable count. That's the classic haiku that I was looking for and didn't get anywhere. Bitter taste lingers, sounds are getting muffled now. I'm safe from their harm. I'm safe from their harm, these sounds, as the pills take me off into the other place. You know, such a soft suicide note. Only haiku could give you that, the soft suicide note. Okay, who's number one? Oh my goodness, it's 11. I never would have thought this, but it's just, again, it's the unusual use of the imagination, not the perfection of the form, because to me you can't do that in English. You know, you can only do it, so English has to play its own tricks and allow the English to, you know, to allow the poem to live in the English vernacular, live in the now, where we are right now with English. And so the poem is called 11. There were two figures passing by the cemetery. Now there is just one. All right. What the heck? You know, 11 it's called. Well, you know, maybe it's because there were numbers on each of the pages here that I really started to think about this. But I like to think I would have thought of it anyway. But 11, of course, is two ones. And we have two figures. And those two figures are each one. So we have two ones that are walking, passing by the cemetery. And now there is just one. There's only one. What happened to the other one? Well, I guess you'd have to say they're passing by the cemetery, and one of them doesn't make it past. One of the 11 is not there. So that's the that's the way that I judged the haiku contest. It was a pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity. Drop me a line at bobholmanpoet@gmail.com. Like me on Facebook, Bob Holman, writer, and follow my gram. Is that Bob Holman Poet? I think it is. Bob Holman Poet. Anyway, it's a pleasure. Hope to see you all next year in Tehran. Toodaloo.